ability to travel through time, to change your past, to see the future. It's been a dream of mankind for thousands of years, but the truth may be more than just fantasy. There is evidence that time travel is not only real, but exists today, controlled by an elite few in the present and visitors from the future. It is a power great enough to affect every life on our planet.
If you travel back in time and you bump into somebody on the sidewalk or step on an ant, that the butterfly effect tells you that that in itself could alter humanity and alter history.
But what happens when it falls into the wrong hands?
What if somebody goes back in time before the evolution of the human race? What if they altered one species of animals that plays a role in our evolution, but we just don't know that connection? Those little types of effects could absolutely wipe out the human race altogether. It kind of sounds far-fetched, but if you think about it, those little types of changes, if you were able to achieve time travel, could potentially wipe us all out.
From catastrophic weapons of war to cryptic messages from the future. Tonight, we explore the greatest power of our entire existence. Join us as we unseal the secrets of time travel. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about. This is Unsealed, Conspiracy Files. 1941. War is raging in Europe. America has yet to join the fray. In Gold Bridge, British Columbia, the South Fork Bridge is about to reopen after repairs. Hundreds of citizens show up to witness the event.
In one photo released by a Canadian archive, there was a photograph taken on a reopening of a bridge. Now, what they did was they took a photograph of the entire crowd that was watching, and in the middle was this man that was completely out of place. From almost head to almost toe that you could see, it didn't line up.
He is mysteriously out of place, holding clues that he may be a man out of time. Could this photo reveal evidence of a time traveler? The person in question has a unique hairstyle compared to those around him. His sunglasses seem futuristic for the 1940s. And under a hooded sweatshirt, he appears to be wearing a silkscreen t-shirt, 20 years before the garment screen printer was even invented. But the most damning evidence of all could be what this strange man holds in his hands. What appears to be a modern camera, sleeker, more compact than anything of its day.
So from head to toe, this gentleman just did not fit the time frame that the photograph was taken. Now, it was put on the internet by this archive, not expecting the reaction from the public. It spread like wildfire through the internet as proof that time travel exists.
But who is he? Perhaps this is a question that could only be answered by a fellow time traveler. Seattle attorney Andrew Basiago claims to have traveled through time and space as a participant in a secret government program. Recruited as a child, Basiago supports his time travel declaration with this evidence, a photograph taken in 1863, which he claims shows him as a boy at the Gettysburg Address. According to Basiago, in the late 1970s, the CIA partnered with DARPA to develop a top-secret jump room in El Segundo, California. The alleged facility enables humans to bend the space-time continuum at will. This device would have allowed instantaneous travel outside our planet, and even through time itself. If his claims are true, the CIA not only experimented with, but built operable time machines. This would allow an unrivaled power to control the destiny of the human race. While it may sound like science fiction, there is evidence that the U.S. government did obtain the technology, and that it came from the same source as our modern rocketry science: Adolf Hitler and the Nazis.
Many people believe that the ultimate Wunderwaffe, the ultimate superweapon of the Nazi regime, would have been time travel. Imagine if Adolf Hitler and all of the people around him were able to achieve such a piece of technology. Imagine what that could do in respect to the war itself.
Coming up next, the most shocking tale of Hitler's time machine isn't when it disappeared, but when it reappeared 20 years later. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. If possible, time travel would change the very nature of our reality. The power to control history is the power to control the present and the future. Could we prevent it from falling into the wrong hands? Or is it already too late? Unsealed case file, the Nazi Bell. Toward the end of World War II, Allied forces were invading Germany. Nazi airfields were bombed beyond repair. Hitler was seeking technology to launch aircraft not dependent on runways. What he got may have turned into the most powerful weapon in history, a device known as Die Glocke, or the Bell. After the war, an underground research facility was discovered. It was carved nearly 1,000 kilometers into the Sudeten Mountains. In these caverns, some believe Hitler's army developed his ultimate wonder weapon.
Die Glocke was purportedly a bell-shaped device that stood up to 15 feet tall. And it's been said that 5 of Hitler's top scientists may have died while working on that project. And those sacrifices mean that Hitler thought he was onto something.
And here was their technology that used counter-rotating cylinders of a very heavy metal, liquid metal, called red mercury. And by spinning them, by counter-rotating them at furiously high speeds, it generated an intense field of radioactivity. And that became the power source for these weapons, counter-rotating fields of mercury.
Experts believe Die Glocke may have originally been designed to power the Flytrap, an alleged launch pad for experimental Nazi aircraft.
Reports say that the Flytrap was used to launch anti-gravity aircraft. If the Nazis had actually developed anti-gravity aircraft, there's no way the Allies would have been able to keep up.
But some believe Die Glocke may have had a greater purpose for the Nazis, one that could make them the most unstoppable army in the history of time.
Some of the stories about this device describe that it had a mirror on top of it that allegedly allowed one to see images from the past.
It is theorized Die Glocke would need to generate 100 million watts of electricity, enough to warp electrogravitational fields, thus creating an opening in time.
One of the theories about Die Glocke as a time travel piece of technology is that it would create a torsion field around the Nazi bell. Whatever this piece of technology was, it would create this torsion field or this energy bubble, and that it would actually alter the 4 dimensions in the unified field theory. We know the 3 dimensions that you and I talk, walk, and interact in, but the 4th dimension being time itself. That what this torsion field does in conjunction with the Nazi bell is distort all of that and allow us to go forwards and backwards in time to change history.
If this is possible, Hitler would have at his disposal a time machine.
How would it have traveled in time? By creating vortices, they could shoot themselves through, pull space-time around them.
So operate off the assumption that the Nazi bell was a time machine and Hitler was able to actually create it. If he could just go into this object and go back to any point in time that he would want to, would be unstoppable. He can, in essence, do whatever he wanted, save Nazi Germany, and really fulfill his world domination desire.
But in 1945, the Nazi regime was defeated.
We will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
Before his death, Hitler allegedly ordered the bell's destruction. Was the world's first time machine lost in the fog of war? Or was it used as the Nazis' final escape?
In December 1965, over 20 years after Die Glocke disappeared, a strange bell-shaped craft heavy with radioactivity and glowing blue swept over the American border from Canada, over Michigan, over Ohio, making long S-curves and slowly coming to a controlled crash landing outside of Kecksburg, Pennsylvania.
Witnesses, interviewed by the local papers, reported a large crashed object nearly identical in description to the Nazi bell. They also claimed that a group of American soldiers arrived on the scene. Using a flatbed truck, the soldiers are said to have loaded the object and taken it away.
Almost instantly, a unit of American soldiers who wore no insignia and came with a flatbed truck were there to retrieve this object and take it away. People were warned, keep your mouth shut. Don't talk about this.
Could this tale confirm the true purpose of Die Glocke?
Did Die Glocke disappear in time, landing 20 plus years later in Pennsylvania, and then being taken to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio, where for all we know, it sits there today, our own American time machine?
Coming up next, the incredible story of an unlikely encounter with humans from the future and the shocking message they left behind. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Could the human race really discover how to travel through time? And if they could, have they done so already? History has left tantalizing clues that time travel is possible.
One piece of evidence that many claim is proof of time travel are ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. That on the walls of some Egyptian temples and in their artwork are symbols that actually represent what we would call today as airplanes, as helicopters, as blimps, as pieces of technology that they didn't have in ancient Egypt, and yet they were drawing it on their walls. Many ask, how did they know? Is this proof that they themselves were able to travel through time, maybe see the 21st century technology that they chronicled on a temple wall? Was that technology able to travel back in time? I mean, there's a lot of theories on what it could mean.
But even more compelling is a message seemingly brought to us from the future.
On December 26, 1980, security personnel from RAF Bentwaters in the UK went out into Rendlesham Forest to investigate a series of lights where radar said an aircraft might have gone down.
Upon entering the forest, Sergeant Jim Peniston and his partner, John Burroughs, encounter a strange aircraft that lands right before their eyes. They approach the craft, and Sergeant Peniston places his hand on the surface. As he does, Peniston is frozen while a mysterious code is beamed into his mind. A telepathic communication.
I had an explosion of white light where I couldn't see. I was blinded. And I started seeing ones and zeros flashing. I mean, it was like inside my mind's eye.
Peniston is shaken by his contact with the craft and the vision it leaves behind. But even more incredible, John Burroughs maintains a different memory of the event entirely.
I do not remember seeing Jim walk around the craft. I do not remember touching the craft. What I clearly remember was we got close to something, and the next thing I know, it appeared to go up into the sky and then shoot out towards the coast.
Afterwards, the two soldiers realize that the times on their synchronized watches are off by almost 45 minutes.
When John Burroughs and Jim Peniston returned to base, it transpired that more time had elapsed than they realized. Moreover, there was discrepancy in their wristwatches. Time, it seemed, not only had run on, but had maybe run at different speeds for them. Now this takes us to some quite extraordinary territory, but when you talk to both John and Jim, and indeed to people who looked at this case, some quite extraordinary theories are being bounced around, ideas of time travel.
How could the contact with this strange craft cause a bend in time? According to Peniston, the answer is hidden within the coded message. For decades, this series of ones and zeros remained a mystery. But 30 years after the incident, Jim Burrows was examining the code and realized what Peniston had received.
As we were going through the book, he came to some pages that had zeros and ones on it. I looked at it and I said, these are binary codes.
The team had the code deciphered, revealing a shocking message. Exploration of humanity. Then latitude and longitude coordinates. Continuous for planetary advance. Peniston had long suspected that the UFO he had seen in the woods was alien in origin, but the coordinates within the code indicated a different explanation. They fell on the location of a forgotten island off the coast of Ireland, known as High Brazil.
High Brazil has sometimes been dubbed Celtic Atlantis. It's a sort of lost land, a mythical country, as it were, that some believed was the site of an advanced civilization. According to legends, those who have seen High Brazil reported a land filled with an advanced and wealthy civilization whose architecture consisted of golden towers and majestic domes.
What Jim Peniston initially believed to be a message from the stars turned out to be a mysteriously earthly communication. And the most shocking detail was the postscript on this code.
The message on the page says date of origin 8100.
Date of origin 8100. Could this signature be telling us the year these travelers had come from?
Why would a race that traveled thousands of light years play hide and seek with us, give us a binary message, and why is it in English? It doesn't point to alien. What I seen was a craft that was us from the future. This is not about UFOs. What I believe had happened, what I seen was a craft that was us from the future.
Time travelers from the future. We may not yet understand their communication, but if Jim Peniston is correct, this cryptic message confirms that mankind has survived well into the future, and that we have harnessed the power to control time itself. Coming up next, if mankind is destined to master time travel, when will it happen? The world's largest particle physics lab may have just found the answer. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest conspiracies as they develop.
Tell your story.
What did you see that you shouldn't have?
The government's known about it all along. Why has nobody told us?
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Albert Einstein once theorized that traveling near the speed of light would change how a body moved through time relative to another. It was once thought impossible, but the world's largest particle physics laboratory may have just found a way. On September 21st, 2011, the European lab known as CERN announced a subatomic particle that travels faster than the speed of light. But are we ready for such a discovery? One small mistake in the past, or even knowing our future, could change everything. One false move, and the human race might never even evolve. We must be careful with the power this new discovery could give us. Otherwise, mankind may not have a future at all. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Since man first looked to the sky thousands of years ago, he has wondered, are we alone in the universe?
Carl Sagan said there were billions and billions of stars, so it would be crazy for us to think that with all the planets and stars out there, we were the only form of intelligent life in the entire universe.
NASA has confirmed the existence of more than 450 planets outside our solar system. The biggest obstacle to contacting life on these planets? How do we get there?
So, for example, the star system Alpha Centauri is 4.5 light years away. We were able to use conventional rockets that could travel at, say, 5% of the speed of light. It would still take thousands of years to get there.
Experts think there might be another way, a secret method to unlocking instantaneous travel to any point in the universe. And it might have existed for centuries. Join us as we unseal the conspiracy behind Stargate. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about. This is Unsealed, Conspiracy Files. Baghdad, 2003. American and British troops invade Iraq. The night sky turns to day as hundreds of bombs find their targets. Tanks roll down city streets. In a few short weeks, the Iraqi military is crushed. The mission is said to be accomplished, yet American troops remain there for more than a decade. Some experts have a shocking theory why U.S. soldiers remained for so long.
Iraq has long been known as the location of one of the oldest stargates on planet Earth.
The history of the Iraqi Stargate goes back more than 6,000 years.
For a civilization that was essentially coming right out of the Stone Ages, they were very highly advanced.
Chariots, tools, irrigation, weapons. In just a few hundred years, Sumerians advanced the species more than the previous 200,000 years combined.
The Sumerian culture is supposedly responsible for giving us a lunar calendar, arithmetic, even some of the first bits of literature written on stone tablets.
How did the ancient Sumerians create such wonders?
One of the theses that was put forward was that the ancient Sumerians were in fact a civilization that had been assisted by a race of extraterrestrials called the Anunnaki, and that the Anunnaki provided them with advanced technology.
Anunnaki is roughly translated as those who fell from the heavens.
So how did the Anunnaki cross the vast interstellar distance between their home world and Earth? One theory: Stargates.
One of these technologies was the ability to be able to travel through space-time using these technologies called stargates.
The theory behind how a stargate works is that it's a wormhole or vortex that connects 2 points in space together, kind of like folding a piece of paper over.
And some people think they're everywhere.
Probably anywhere between 10 to 20 for around the world altogether.
In southern Peru, a mysterious civilization that predates the Incas built the Puerta de Ayulmarca, or Gateway of the Gods.
There's a stargate near the city of Puno, Peru, which is on the edge of Lake Titicaca. It basically is built into what appears to be a cliff face, and it looks like a very large doorway.
There is a legend that one of the priests of the Incas was being chased by the Spanish conquistadors, and he fled into a stargate, into a portal, and simply disappeared from this plane of reality.
In neighboring Bolivia, another ancient people built the gateway to the sun more than 2,000 years before the rise of the Incan Empire.
The Gateway of the Sun Stargate in Bolivia was built by the Tiwanaku civilization. It's located on the shores or nearby Lake Titicaca on the top of the Bolivian plateau there. This doorway to the sun was a means by which the Tiwanakan civilization believed that they could interact or enter into the energies of the sun.
Pictographs and sculptures throughout the pyramids of Egypt depict the coming of gods from the stars who arrived and left long ago. What they left behind was a legacy of advanced technology, architecture, and culture the likes of which had never been seen before.
What evidence is there that advanced technology was delivered to the Egyptians through technologies such as stargates?
Well, the evidence we have is evidence from the hieroglyphics themselves that seem to indicate that there were places on planet Earth where they call them gods could easily transport themselves between their plane of reality, whatever universe they lived in, and our plane of reality.
Would these advanced beings send ambassadors of peace? Or would they transport advanced weapons that would make our largest nuclear missiles seem like firecrackers by comparison?
Imagine what the human race could do with such an incredible technology as a Stargate. Worse, imagine what we would do with it.
A Stargate in the wrong hands could spell disaster for all mankind. And some believe the most evil force on Earth may have already found one. Coming up, did the Nazis really find a working Stargate? Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. It's theorized that stargates are portals which allow interplanetary travel over unimaginable distances, and many think Adolf Hitler may have located just such a gateway.
Hitler became obsessed with the theory of the lost land of Thule.
The land of Thule was an underground or a subterranean civilization inhabited by these Nordic-looking giants who had tremendous abilities, and very importantly, they also had very sophisticated, very advanced technologies.
It was first described by the ancient Greeks, who equated it with the lost civilization of Atlantis.
One of the myths about an ancient Aryan civilization was that this civilization inhabited a warm region beneath the surface of Antarctica.
In 1938, before World War II is in full swing, Hitler sends German ships to Antarctica under the pretense of establishing a whaling base. Many historians believe he has far different motives.
If Hitler was really interested in whaling, then why send U-boats and other war machines down to Antarctica? It doesn't make any sense, unless he was going there for another reason.
Nazi Germany was convinced that Atlantis was actually buried underneath the Antarctic ice.
Philosophical Nazis were looking for some kind of validation for the supremacy of what they call the Aryan race, specifically for that portal that brought the Aryans to planet Earth. They were looking for a Stargate.
In 1939, the Nazi expeditions pay off. They establish an Antarctic base they name New Swabia. As World War II rages on, the Nazis allegedly continue to make frequent trips to the base.
With the Soviets closing in on the Eastern Front and the Allies closing in from the West, you would think the German Wehrmacht would be totally occupied with defending the fatherland instead of sending these naval expeditions to Antarctica.
After the Germans are defeated in 1945, reports of the Nazi base in Antarctica continue. 1 year after the surrender, the United States launches its own expedition to this frozen land. Unsealed case file, Operation High Jump.
Operation High Jump, 1946 to 1947, was a large naval expedition under the command of Admiral Byrd that went to Antarctica, ostensibly to visit the mini colony of New Swabia. The cover story was that they were simply mapping it.
What the Americans allegedly found there defied description. Reports of advanced rocket technology, anti-gravity experiments, and even high-tech flying saucers are unconfirmed.
Some people believe that there was evidence of genetic experiments an entire decade before DNA was even discovered.
What we do know, Operation High Jump was abruptly canceled months before its scheduled completion date. Admiral Richard Byrd expressed his fear of fast objects flying from pole to pole at incredible speeds.
Whatever it is that the American government found in Antarctica, we'll never know.
During World War II, physicist Werner von Braun is one of the most prominent scientists of the Nazi Party. He develops the V-2 rocket, a ballistic missile that causes brutal destruction in the final years of the war.
In less than 4 years, the Nazis go from firing artillery shells to having radio-guided rockets.
Where did the Nazis get such technology at a time when wars were fought without guidance systems, smart bombs, or satellites?
A lot of people theorize that this was accomplished using alien technology that may have been brought through the Stargate. There were huge advancements in technology in World War II, but none of it even compared to what Operation High Jump was reported to find in New Swabia.
After the war, von Braun's technical wizardry was used to create America's first ballistic missile, its first jet fighter, and was responsible for the launch of America's space program.
As frightening as the potential technology of New Swabia might have been, even more frightening is the alleged discovery of an ancient Stargate in Iraq.
When we return, the desperate rush to secure the Iraqi Stargate will be revealed.
Saddam Hussein with Stargate technology in his hands, there's no way our government would have sat around and let that happen.
Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Current theory on the Iraqi Stargate places the device beneath the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, the first great city of the world. It is also the site of the Sumerians' grandest temple, called the Great Ziggurat.
In 1922, the British explorer Woolley was sent to Iraq to explore the ancient city of Ur for artifacts. But legend has it that what Woolley found was not just an ancient city, but an entire ancient complex, possibly housing a Stargate.
Just as Woolley is not the first to explore the temple in modern times, he is also not the last. In the early 1980s, Saddam Hussein orders a massive restoration project at the Great Ziggurat, effectively transforming the temple into a fortress.
The Ziggurat of Ur is purportedly where Saddam worked on his biochemical weapons. It became the center of his operations, and he even put an Air Force base there.
Experts say 3 massive staircases leading into the temple were restored by Saddam, and not just to allow for easier access. They were also built to carry things out. Things like the Iraqi Stargate.
The real reason the United States launched a preemptive strike against Iraq in 2003 was because Saddam Hussein had gotten into his hands some of these technologies, such as Stargates. That's when the US political elite became very worried that Saddam Hussein would go public about his discoveries.
Critics of the war in Iraq speculate the real reason for America's involvement is to secure Iraq's oil supply for future use. But all the oil in the world pales in comparison to unlimited access to advanced alien technology.
Whether you loved or hated Bush, we may have all been wrong about the reasons for going to war.
Another piece of startling evidence, one of the most elite naval units in military history, known as Task Force 20, is dispatched in 2003 with the mission to find and terminate high-profile enemy targets in Iraq.
They were approximately 1,500 of the military's finest special forces people, and their job in Iraq after the invasion in 2003 was essentially to find Saddam Hussein, according to the public record.
But the unit's priorities raise questions. Early on in the invasion, Task Force 20 engages in a vicious firefight with Iraqi soldiers, not at a military target, but at the National Museum of Iraq.
Why would the U.S. government spend so many resources trying to get to the National Museum of Iraq? And why was the Iraqi Republican Guard there defending it?
Task Force 20, it had multiple missions, but its more secret mission was really to scour all of Iraq's ancient sites, all of Iraq's museums for any information.
They were looking for evidence to support that the Stargate was at the Great Ziggurat of Ur.
American forces made the Great Ziggurat the site of one of their most important air bases for the next 9 years.
We stayed in Iraq for 10 years, long after Saddam Hussein was overthrown, ostensibly to help the Iraqis build a new government. But could it have been that it took us an entire decade to dismantle the Stargate and ship it back to the United States because of that technology, and that was the reason we stayed in Iraq until 2012?
If they did dismantle the Iraqi Stargate and took it back to the U.S., it could be in any number of secret government warehouses. Area 51, Wright-Patterson, even Fort Knox. The thing could be anywhere.
Theorists see evidence of Stargates in every technological explosion in human history. Ancient texts and hieroglyphs seem to verify their suspicions.
From the Wright brothers' first powered flight and NASA's landing on the moon, less than 70 years. And now, NASA has a rover crawling across the surface of Mars looking for life.
Believers in Stargates argue such a great leap in science and technology over such a short amount of time simply cannot be explained by traditional thinking.
The advantages of a military or a civilization that controlled a Stargate would be enormous. They would be able to transport people and equipment through vast distances of time and space.
Coming up, the dangers of a Stargate, once found, are almost too great to conceive.
If an enemy had a Stargate and was able to utilize it in a war against us, we could be snuffed out of existence in less than a second.
Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest conspiracies as they develop.
Tell your story.
What did you see that you shouldn't have?
The government's known about it all along. Why has nobody told us?
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Experts worry the opening of a Stargate could have terrifying consequences for a civilization as relatively primitive as our own.
If Stargates were built by a race of extraterrestrials to enable them to traverse vast distances, what chance do we have of manipulating that technology?
We'd be like infants playing with a nuclear bomb.
The main concern is that no matter who attempts to open the Stargate, the end result could spell disaster for all mankind.
That would be very, very dangerous for a Stargate to be opened prematurely like that without knowing who would be coming through.
An out-of-control wormhole might pull the Earth through a Stargate, piece by painful piece.
What if we created a black hole right here on planet Earth and we snuffed ourselves out of existence without even realizing what we were about to do?
It would be as if we never existed. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. They have been accused of just about every heinous act in history. From the Crusades, to the Great Depression, to 9/11. They are the New World Order, and some say their goal is simple: total control. of the human race.
There's a good deal of talk about a new world order, that there is a powerful elite of government leaders, financial leaders that want to control the globe for their own benefit, for their own safety.
The signs of their handiwork are reportedly everywhere, on our money and our monuments. But just who is the New World Order?
There are notions that the Masonic order has been trying to control the planet for centuries, that the Illuminati is a secret order with the goal of control. The Bilderberg Group is a well-known gathering of world leaders.
With a plan that allegedly involves everything from global chaos to human depopulation to martial law. Could a new world order rule the planet?
I hereby declare this to be an unlawful assembly.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
Tonight, the dark mystery behind the new world order will be unsealed. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about. This is Unsealed, Conspiracy Files. 1776. The American colonies are at war with England, the most powerful country on the planet. A group of ragtag colonists, led by General George Washington, fight to gain our independence. Chaos is the order of the day.
There's no doubt there were some big key players in the founding of the nation, like George Washington, our first president, that were, in fact, Masons.
After the mighty British are defeated, the United States of America is born. Though the new nation's constitution calls for equality for all, George Washington and his fellow Freemasons are already sowing the seeds of secrecy.
When the stone was laid for the Capitol building, George Washington was there and he was in full Masonic garb. So the Masonic influence was there, but how deep it went, that's a big question.
Is it possible that our founding fathers wanted to set the stage for a new world order? The symbols of our nation could spell out a conspiracy of colossal proportions.
But the point is that it's been around for a while.
The new nation adopts the Great Seal of the United States in 1782. It stamps the treaty that ends the Revolutionary War and every other international agreement since. And it's loaded with secret, some say occult, imagery.
The classic five-pointed star, also known as the pentagram, is a symbol used in Masonic terms as the burning star, and this could have various significances going well into our past.
And that's only one side of the Great Seal.
The all-seeing eye has definitely been a prominent symbol in Masonic cultures for hundreds of years. When we see these insignias, like the one that says Novus Ordo Seclorum, coming of the new ages, we have to wonder if this actually means coming of the new world order. From the capstone at the Statue of Liberty to the all-seeing eye in the back of our dollar bill, these symbolic references can be found throughout our culture, and it's almost as if one is really looking for it, they're everywhere.
As the new nation suffers through its growing pains, the rich are already getting richer. But to fulfill their plan for a new world order, they'll need help from around the globe. England, the late 1800s. The Industrial Revolution creates a new generation of robber barons and captains of industry. each angling for his own piece of the new world order. A Freemason named Cecil J. Rhodes leaves the luxury of England behind for Africa. He founds the De Beers Mining Company, which will soon control 90% of the world's diamond market.
So Cecil Rhodes became rich in the diamond market. But in Africa, he's not seen as the great scholar, the great founder of the Rhodes Scholarship. He's seen as an oppressor.
Rhodes is also a vocal advocate for expanding the British Empire. He predicts that together, the United States, England, and Germany will one day rule the world.
Starting with Cecil Rhodes, the British began to establish this idea of inner societies that literally would set policy to put their own in place.
By the 1900s, the New World Order is gaining steam. America is an emerging power, both economically and militarily.
So John D. Rockefeller, being the first billionaire in existence, made some very interesting contributions in the form of land dedicated solely for the purposes of the United Nations. What would John D. Rockefeller be getting in return?
Victory over the Nazis in World War II ushers in the American century. The balance of world power shifts, and suddenly, is it the New World who gives the orders? Coming up next, the elements of the New World Order's supposed hidden agenda. Do they simply want your money? Do they want your freedom? Do they even want your life? Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. If theories are true, a shadowy coalition of powerful men, international bankers, and secret societies are the real rulers of planet Earth. They are known as the New World Order, and some say they have a 4-step plan for world domination. Step 1, control the wealth.
These secret societies grew because various bankers got together.
1913, Washington, D.C. President Woodrow Wilson signs a law creating the Federal Reserve Bank. Despite its name, the Federal Reserve is a private institution which controls the creation of currency in America. And as goes the American economy, so goes the world.
When we look at the idea that Woodrow Wilson made a conscious decision to create the Federal Reserve, essentially giving the power of the U.S. Treasury to this private company, he became terrified when he realized he had given more power to bankers than the actual elected officials.
Step 2, create conflict.
War is a big business. There are a lot of companies that make a lot of money and benefit greatly by countries going to war. That's just the harsh reality of it. Why? They make weapons, they make bombs, they make technology that is utilized in war, so ultimately they're going to benefit. You can't hide from that fact.
From the Vietnam War to the invasion of Iraq, the U.S. and its allies have a history of interventions with murky motives behind them.
Thing about 9/11 is that the terrorists won, in a sense. They had a huge impact. The Patriot Act is a scary document. The amount of freedom that is lost. Phones can be bugged. People can be brought in for questioning. Home invasions can be made legal.
With every military action comes casualties. And some say that plays right into the hands of the New World Order's Step 3. Initiate depopulation.
When the planet hits a certain number, it will not be sustainable. And we're getting there quickly. It is frightening.
Planet Earth in the 21st century is a dangerous place. deadly pandemics, the threat of nuclear and biological warfare.
Right now, 8 countries have admitted that they have nuclear weapons. Those are the ones we know about today.
International terrorism. Could the New World Order be the force behind these issues that plague mankind? Or are the world's power elite simply sitting by and watching it unravel?
This feeds the conspiracy theory of who's controlling society.
As the bodies continue to pile up, the near future could be a very dark place. A world where food and water is scarce. A world where society completely breaks down. A world that plays right into the hands of the final piece of the New World Order's plan. Enact martial law.
Martial law means that the constitutional provisions of government are suspended and the military takes over the domestic enforcement of whatever rules the government sets forth.
The United States has seen martial law imposed several times throughout its history. The last time martial law was officially declared was during the Civil Rights era.
Martial law will have the military take control over society. We will see tanks and troops in the streets, and they will ultimately define our everyday until order is restored.
Coming up, if conspiracy theorists are right, the New World Order already controls the military and the money supply. Will they need a central command center? Some say they may already have built one right under our noses. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. For centuries, some have claimed a new world order is manipulating the masses to affect global supremacy. And they may have just built their headquarters. Unsealed case file. Denver International Airport. 25 miles outside of Denver, Colorado, is the Denver International Airport. It's the largest airport in the United States and the second largest in the world. Its fueling system can pump more than 1,000 gallons of jet fuel per minute and holds over 2.7 million gallons of jet fuel in reserve. Some say an ominous statue just outside the airport represents the pale horse of death from the book of Revelation. And it's only one of many ominous symbols in the airport. The Freemasons' primary emblem, the square and compass, is embedded in the airport's capstone. Murals painted throughout the airport depict a world in turmoil. Rainforests burning. Children in coffins. What sort of message do these images carry?
So these murals at the Denver International Airport really start to raise a lot of questions. This one that looks like some type of Hitler form, and we see clearly people under arduous task being, led into this. It's very reminiscent of a Holocaust scene.
The official story is that the images merely represent the lines in a poem. Some people see a more sinister explanation.
These images of a child holding a Bible and symbolic flowers and a timepiece. And are we talking about some type of end of days? These really do raise a lot of questions.
So the murals are one thing, but it's what's under the Denver International Airport that's most exciting.
$110 million cubic yards of earth removed. 28 miles of pipeline installed. 5,000 feet of fiber optics. 8 buildings buried after their construction. And an alleged tunnel system which is separate from the airport's transportation shuttles. Are these the tools of a standard commercial airport?
Nobody knows what's down there. And pearls point to caves going into the earth, which some conspiracy theorists say is really a code for what's under the Denver airport. You will find underground structures to house people, to house members of the New World Order when, quote unquote, Armageddon comes.
Could the Denver International Airport house an underground headquarters for the New World Order? Former structural engineer Phil Schneider thought so. He spoke frequently about the topic.
In Colorado, yes, there's about 4 underground bases, one being at Denver International Airport. No wonder your luggage gets lost. There are 8 levels underneath the airport tarmac.
And it was Phil Schneider who alerted the whole conspiracy world to the presence of a secret government New World Order plan to establish underground bases.
I am a direct threat to the entire system. The New World Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. It's world takeover and the decimation of the population of this planet.
January 17th, 1996. Phil Schneider is found dead in his Oregon apartment, strangled by a catheter. Local law enforcement rules his death a suicide. Are there others like him who have been silenced by a shadow government? If so, how safe can any of us truly be? Up next, we'll take a hard look at just who might be a part of the New World Order. Which public figures, billionaires, and politicians have known links to the secret societies that some say are really ruling the world. We're naming names when we return. Unsealed Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed Conspiracy Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest conspiracies as they develop.
Tell your story.
What did you see that you shouldn't have?
The government's known about it all along. Why has nobody told us?
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark. Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Most agree that if there is a new world order, it's made up of members of the world's most notorious secret societies. But who are these shadowy power brokers? 14 U.S. presidents have been members of the Freemasons, as were nearly half the men who signed the Declaration of Independence. In the 2004 election, both U.S. presidential candidates were members of Yale University's secretive Skull and Bones Society. The Bilderberg Group is a yearly invitation-only assembly of the world's most elite and powerful policymakers. Some call it merely a think tank. Detractors accuse them of more nefarious motives. Freemasons, Skull and Bones, the Bilderberg Group. 3 different secret handshakes. 1 new world order. Unsealed Conspiracy Files. More than 7 feet tall. Over 500 pounds. Bigger than any man. More man-like than any gorilla. Some believe that the legend is an elaborate hoax. But could it all be one of the biggest cover-ups in history?
Thousands of people all over the globe have witnessed the Bigfoot phenomenon.
My name is Todd Standing, and I'm a Bigfoot researcher. I've had multiple encounters with them.
These relic hominoids exist. Obviously, they're very, very closely related to us.
They stand upright, they walk upright, they have big flat foots, they use their hands.
The U.S. government has quietly acknowledged the species exists. But why hasn't their declaration been more public? Tonight, the truth behind this inexplicable creature. Is he human, animal, or a brand new life form? Join us as we unseal the mystery behind Bigfoot. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. November 1951. British explorer Eric Shipton is on his way to Mount Everest when he comes across a mile-long trail of unusual footprints. Too human to be an animal's, too big to be a man's. It turns out the locals have a name for the source of these tracks. Yeti. At an altitude of 18,000 feet, Shipton's discovery launched the modern era in the legend of Bigfoot.
The Shipton footprint was the key to the reemergence of Yeti and Bigfoot in our culture today.
In an age where everyone has a video camera, the number of documented Bigfoot sightings has exploded in recent years.
I think that there's, probably hundreds of groups all across the continent. I think they're all the way from into Texas and Florida and up through Kentucky. I've seen into Ohio.
We've also had reports from the boreal forests of Canada down the Appalachia region of eastern United States.
Canadian Todd Standing claims he's been studying the elusive creature for years.
I know they live and exist. It's very important to me that I keep them very confidential.
But what do we really know about these creatures? Experts have broken down the tapes. Arms longer than a man. An inline step unlike any known monkey. The white soles of the feet. All the details lead to one conclusion. Bigfoot.
When we see a Bigfoot walking, they tend to have more of a forward lean. They don't have the full upright posture of a modern human. And then their foot placement is somewhat different.
Bigfoot sightings may be more prevalent than ever, but they're anything but new. The creature has lived in folklore for centuries. In 986 AD, Viking explorer Leif Erikson described encountering wild men creatures in North America. They were horribly ugly, hairy, swarthy, with big black eyes. The creature was already known to North American natives as Sasquatch.
I've read Leif Erikson accounting of the big primate that actually kind of scared him off. It scared the Vikings away. I wholeheartedly believe that Leif Erikson, he saw Bigfoot.
Wherever in the world they are seen, the documented instances show a creature similar in appearance.
It was well over 8 feet tall, well in excess of 600 pounds.
Males probably run on average about 8 feet in height. Very thick through the torso, very heavily muscled limbs.
Most encounters with the creature also share another less publicized detail.
One thing is an incredible and terrible stench.
It's a very unpleasant odor. Rotten meat, human feces, stinking gym clothes.
When you smell a Bigfoot, It's because he damn well knows that he is upwind from you and you're getting a whiff. He's extremely aware of that. He's literally telling you, hey, buddy, I'm here. Be afraid.
The long hair, the putrid stench, the oversized footprints. The amazing consistency in the descriptions of this beast point to more than just coincidence.
Thousands of people all over the globe have witnessed the Bigfoot phenomenon. If you had thousands of people testifying in a court of law, the judge would always rule in their favor.
For those who think these sightings are all the products of overactive imaginations, the U.S. government disagrees. When we return, the startling evidence the authorities don't want you to see.
You can't hoax DNA, and they have multiple samples of DNA at different levels.
Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. For 1,200 years, humans have been searching for Bigfoot. Skeptics say the grainy photos and blurry videos prove nothing, but the physical evidence is harder to explain away. Unsealed case file, the Pangbosh relics. Artifacts in Nepal, uncovered by an English newspaper in the 1950s, provide more evidence for the mystery. For 6 decades, the ridged scalp of an alleged Yeti has been displayed at the Pangbosh Monastery, alongside a supposed hand of the beast.
The Pangbosh scalp has a ridge of hair that extends all the way to the forehead. No other animal on Earth has that.
The Pangbosh skull, cap, and hand seem to offer the most tangible evidence that there was some creature.
Scientists and celebrities alike have been fascinated by this mythical beast ever since. Legend has it, film great Jimmy Stewart once smuggled a Yeti hand out of Tibet in a suitcase.
I don't think it's legend. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Stewart did smuggle an artifact that was allegedly from a Yeti out of China.
Hair, teeth, bone, and feces of the giant primate have been found worldwide. Yet scientists are still slow to recognize the species.
The most physical evidence that we have on the question of the existence of Bigfoot is probably the hair samples.
I've got scat, I've got hair, I've got chunks of skin, DNA. Science won't even talk to me.
Without a doubt, these creatures exist. The Yeti hair from China was an exact match to samples found in Northern California. And both DNA samples are registering as unclassified species.
The bottom line is simply we have these hair samples that defy attribution to known species. They most resemble humans, but they look like wild people who have never had a haircut.
Scientists may still deny the reality of Bigfoot, but it appears the U.S. government has acknowledged his existence for a while.
There are a couple documents that have been published by the United States military that allude to Bigfoot actually being real. It's even part of the flora and fauna of Washington State, according to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Unsealed case file, Washington Environmental Atlas. The year, 1974. The document, the Washington Environmental Atlas. One of the many creatures in the state's official list of native species, Sasquatch.
The Washington Environmental Atlas, there's a lot of men that are in powerful positions that know about the reality of this species.
That book costs the taxpayers of the state of Washington $200,000 to put out. It includes a map of all known Sasquatch sightings in the region. I'd call that official confirmation.
The official government publication also describes Sasquatch hair recovered by the FBI. It is found to belong to no known species of human or animal. While Washington state officials may have tipped their hands, the federal government has consistently silenced any talk of Bigfoot.
So back in the 1970s, there was an airman, enlisted personnel in the United States Air Force, who actually got a blood sample off of Bigfoot. You know what happened? MIBs, Men in Black, whoever they were, people came in, took the blood sample, told the airman to keep your big fat mouth shut. He never saw it again.
If you saw a Bigfoot, what do? Call the police? They'll laugh at you. Talk to a wildlife officer? They'll think you're crazy.
The whole alleged affair remains classified. If true, why all the secrecy? And what is the government hiding? It could be related to 3 simple letters. DNA.
DNA has been used to differentiate species or subspecies from museum collections of skins and skeletons. But to recognize a new species, there is no precedent for acknowledging a new species on the basis of DNA sequences alone.
Oxford University, in conjunction with the Museum of Zoology, is in the midst of doing the largest DNA test in history.
Oxford University recently said, look, we want to deal with the Bigfoot legend once and for all. So what they did was they found an open call for blood samples.
Bigfoot would be, if it's found, one of the biggest scientific discoveries in the 21st century. Let's face it.
Evidence supporting the existence of Bigfoot is both plentiful and breathtaking. But experts still disagree over the true nature of the beast. When we return, the mind-blowing theories on the truth about Bigfoot.
Is Bigfoot an animal or is Bigfoot a human being? Do we hunt it? Do we eat it? Does it eat us?
Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. The evidence that something like a Bigfoot monster exists is overwhelming. And the U.S. government's official silence on the matter is deafening. An eerie coincidence offers an incredible explanation.
In just about every Sasquatch and Bigfoot sighting, it's followed by a slew of UFO sightings. It's not just a coincidence.
The connection between Bigfoot appearances and UFO sightings is well documented. In fact, the top secret Blue Planet Project lists just such an alien.
The Blue Planet Project is a compilation of notes from somebody who had seen some inner workings of the alien and government infrastructure.
It literally is the holy grail, the Bible of UFO conspiracy.
The Wadig is described as a primitive paraterrestrial with a hair-covered body and a cone-shaped cranium. But if Bigfoot is from another planet, then what is he doing here?
Ufologists have 3 main theories about the Bigfoot phenomenon. One is that they were dropped here by extraterrestrials as part of a research project.
There's another theory, which people talk about, that planet Earth is really a prison planet. That long before the coming of human beings, that an alien race took its Untermenschen, took its terrible, terrible creatures that they thought weren't worthy of survival, brought them to planet Earth, planted them here, and they multiplied and prospered on planet Earth.
And the third theory is that the Bigfoot are creatures that escaped experimentation from aliens and are hiding away from us in hopes that we're going to destroy ourselves and they can take over.
There have been several different theories offered for in an effort to explain the origin of Sasquatch.
One theory is more unsettling than most. Unsealed case file, ape-human hybrid. According to some reports, the Russians have been trying to create a hybrid species from ape and human DNA since the 1920s.
A Russian geneticist was exiled in 1927 from the Soviet Union because he may have created a hybrid ape man. Our DNAs are so similar. I mean, why not? There are people out there walking around with baboon hearts.
You look at how we have evolved as humans, and then you look at a picture of Bigfoot. Who's to say that that could just be an offshoot of where we came from?
It's no longer a question of whether or not it exists. With all the genetic data we have, it's just about classifying whether Bigfoot is more human or animal.
Human DNA is extremely similar to alleged samples of Bigfoot DNA. So what exactly does that mean? Two experts share a startling conclusion.
My working hypothesis is based on the fact that we have a giant primate, a candidate anyway, that's the right size in the right place at the right time in the form of Gigantopithecus.
And that reality of evolution is, this species is called Gigantopithecus, thought to have become extinct approximately 100,000 years ago, and they're not. They're alive and well, living in North America and in China and probably all through Asia and into Australia, and they've simply evolved.
For every Bigfoot believer, there's a Bigfoot debunker.
One of the major problems we run into in this field is the hoaxing. It goes on continuously year after year. People send us things that they're just crazy, and we have to waste our time on them because we have to make sure they're not real.
I think those that aim to try and hoax a sighting or a piece of evidence is a huge detriment to the research to try and find this scientific discovery.
As recently as August 2012, a man in a ghillie suit was struck and killed on a Montana highway while trying to convince passing motorists they'd seen a Bigfoot.
And I prefer people not hoax, but I mean, when I come back with a body, all these arguments about hoaxing, not hoaxing, the reality, not reality, will be done. Everything else is academic.
Is Bigfoot a real-life monster, watching us from the bushes and ready to kill to protect his habitat? Or are the thousands who reported seeing the creature merely confused cranks and attention seekers? The shocking answer when we return.
The first words a scientist learns is, I don't know, yet.
Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest conspiracies as they develop.
Tell your story.
What did you see that you shouldn't have?
The government's known about it all along. Why has nobody told us?
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Hair samples are inconclusive. Photo and video evidence is often disputed. If the existence of this creature is to be proven, it's going to take researchers like Todd Standing and Jeff Meldrum to do it.
A body has to be found.
That's my responsibility as a scientist and other scientists to explore and to determine whether new species exist.
I will come back, not with a little knock on the door with a hair sample. I will come back and I will kick down your freaking door and I will shove a body in your face. They'll start recognizing this, teaching it in textbooks, but not until that moment. Everything else, it doesn't matter.
Until that time, it's up to each of us to decide for ourselves. Bigfoot, myth, or real-life monster. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Secret satellites, Death Stars, the weaponization of outer space. Are governments the world over preparing for an alien attack? And if so, why are we being kept in the dark? Despite decades of UFO sightings and alien abductions, the United States government has maintained a single, unwavering position about the existence of extraterrestrials: denial. Evidence of aliens among us continues to mount, but no government on Earth will go on record and admit that aliens exist. Do they fear mass panic? Or are they hiding an even darker secret? The United States is the most powerful nation on Earth. But what if its rise to power came from being aided by an alien race? And what if these extraterrestrials have alien enemies of their own? Tonight, we unseal the most shocking conspiracy of all time, the global threat of a possible alien attack. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files the government doesn't want you to know about. This is Unsealed, Conspiracy Files. September 17th, 2012. Reports surface of a highly unfriendly extraterrestrial threat, jeopardizing a vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean, from the coast of California to Alaska. Naval forces from the United States and China are said to have launched a joint counteroffensive. Officially, the Navy denies the battle, claiming the massive mobilization is a planned training exercise codenamed Valiant Shield. But the mission appears to be a counterattack against an unidentified enemy. What possible threat could unite these rival superpowers?
I think it's rather obvious that the United States military and government would keep it a secret if there was a conflict or connection between them and extraterrestrials. I think the reason is simple: fear.
A leaked memorandum about the Pacific incident reveals the opposition is extraterrestrial and extremely aggressive. The threat represents a clear and present danger to the United States. Any attempt to verify these operations will lead to fatal consequences. Are world governments hiding a secret war against extraterrestrials in the Pacific? Many experts believe that aliens have already established bases on Earth. A secret meeting between the CIA and President Ronald Reagan may have revealed the truth about an enemy alien force mobilizing around the world. Unsealed case file. The Reagan Briefing. On March 6, 1981, CIA Director William Casey allegedly debriefs President Reagan on the Roswell UFO incident. Casey's message is clear. Roswell was real. We are not alone. According to Casey, 2 UFOs crashed near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. The corpses of 9 dead aliens were recovered from the wreckage, along with 1 lone survivor. The briefing goes on to detail 4 decades of human-alien relations. According to Casey, the sole extraterrestrial survivor of the Roswell crash worked directly with the CIA and military for 5 years. But what the U.S. learned from the alien remains a mystery to this day.
It appears that every time there's this major leap in technology, that somehow, somewhere, there's a reported alien encounter lurking in the background. And the biggest story about this is the 1947 crash of a UFO outside of Roswell, New Mexico.
Casey's report contains a final bombshell. At least 5 different alien species have visited Earth, one of which was classified as an HAV, a hostile alien visitor. Are hostile alien visitors planning an attack on Earth? And if so, what do world governments plan to do about it? Coming up next, we expose a secret treaty with aliens and reveal the most chilling extraterrestrial crimes against humanity. Could the CIA be starting a secret alien war? Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Reports of an alien threat in the Pacific. Top secret presidential debriefings. Is the United States government hiding knowledge of aliens? Unsealed case file. The Greada Treaty. Washington, D.C., 1954. President Eisenhower enlists the help of a top-secret UFO investigation committee called the Majestic 12 to send a binary message into space with the intention of communicating with aliens. The message is allegedly received by an alien race called the Greys. Gray-skinned, black-eyed humanoids from a planet in the Zeta Reticuli star system, some 39 light-years away from Earth. Their initial response is positive, and a series of secret meetings is arranged on Earth. The result of this historic summit is an agreement known as the Greada Treaty.
There was some sort of treaty that was signed whereby they could take some humans for abduction and experimentation, but they had to be returned safely. In exchange, the Greys would give us some technology. We do know that there was this sort of quantum leap in technology during that time, where we went from just having tubes to solid state to fiber optics and night vision in literally 20 years' time.
Did President Eisenhower and the CIA make a dire mistake by allowing alien Greys to abduct humans? And how far did the Greys go with their experiments? One of the earliest studies conducted on the subject of alien abductees revealed thousands of victims in the United States. A study done in 2011 on U.S. missing persons reports a staggering 700,000 Americans have simply vanished with no explanation. Is it possible the Greys have been probing our weaknesses to one day exploit them on the battlefield? The U.S. government may have made a deal with the hostile alien species. But not every American leader turned a blind eye to the dangers of secret dealings with aliens and the possibility of invasion. In a 1962 speech, General Douglas MacArthur openly addresses the concept of an alien war.
We deal now not with things of this world alone. We speak in strange terms of harnessing the cosmic energy of ultimate conflict between the united human race and the sinister forces of some other planetary galaxy.
Why would MacArthur comment on such a top-secret matter unless he was convinced such a conflict was possible? By the 1970s, insider reports showed abduction rates skyrocketing to 100,000 per year. Victims report a terrifying variety of experiments, ranging from mind alteration and sexual assault to cloning. It's a far cry from the non-harmful experiments outlined in the Greada Treaty. 1977, the White House. President Jimmy Carter reportedly receives a stack of files on experiments conducted by aliens on humans at Dulce Base, New Mexico. In response, he allegedly sends out an executive order to terminate all such experiments.
Well, there's been a lot of talk about the Dulce Base and what goes on there. It's this secret underground base with many levels where they do all this experimentation with alien genetics and radiation that's been going on for years. And it's one of these things that, again, lives part in legend and part in some eyewitness testimony.
The Carter administration is warned that any attempt to shut down the base will be met with fierce resistance. September 1979. Brigadier General Harry C. Aderholt reportedly forms a team of Delta Force, Navy SEALs, and Air Force Special Ops Command to launch an assault on the Dulce Base. Could a secret assault on alien rebels deep within Dulce Base lead to a covert war between the United States and an entire alien race? Unsealed case file. Assault on Dulce.
This base is said to have 7 levels. The level of experimentation and mutilation even gets worse and worse as you descend to the 7th level. And supposedly the 7th level is where all kinds of unnatural things have been taking place that would terrify the most hardened criminal.
A classified report, believed by many CIA sources to have been written by Ader Holt himself, details the assault on Dulce Base. The report describes horrifying alien creations, six-legged humans, humanoid beings, and vats filled with human body parts. In total, the assault team is believed to have rescued over 30,000 human captives.
If any U.S. base, underground or not, was housing extraterrestrials, there would be some kind of conflict at some point, especially if there was no oversight and we were doing all this crazy stuff and trying to build maybe a super soldier or find a new bioweapon. I think that's just asking for trouble.
Where did these people come from, and how did they end up at Dulce Base? As many as 2,300 Americans are reported missing every day. Over 700,000 Americans each year. Many people disappear in remote areas, never to be heard from again. Are the FBI and CIA covering up the disappearances to honor America's part of the Greada Treaty? Military authorities are reported to have ordered Dulce Base closed for good after the 1979 assault, putting an end to its secret alien operations. But in 1993, after over a decade of silence, new evidence reveals Dulce's alien operations have resumed. And these reports are backed up by some disturbing new statistics. In 1980, the year after the assault on Dulce, 150,000 people went missing in the United States alone. The ensuing decades would see that number skyrocket, reaching nearly 1 million in 2012. Is it a sign the aliens are stepping up their efforts in preparation for a full-scale attack on Earth? While aliens may be preparing for a global invasion, how far will governments go to protect alien interests over our own? Up next, we reveal America's top secret agenda to build weapons with alien technology gained as a result of the Greada Treaty. But at what cost? Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. High and low frequency sound devices, psychological weaponry, smart bombs, stealth technology. Is the U.S. government developing an arsenal to fend off an alien attack? In just 100 years, humanity went from the horse and musket to spaceflight and nuclear weapons. The United States would benefit greatly from its technological superiority in the decades that followed. But how have these giant scientific and technological leaps been made possible? And have these leaps come at a secret and disturbing cost?
There were two immediate jumps in technology after the Roswell crash. There was the invention and the patenting of the transistor, and there was the development of the metal called titanium.
Experts believe the cost of building and maintaining a fighting force to combat aliens armed with advanced technology would be astronomical. Yet, in recent years, statistics reveal some disturbing trends. From 1998 to 2012, U.S. defense spending tripled from $300 billion to over $900 billion per year. But the allocation of the money is virtually untraceable, hidden within a deep black ops budget. Matching an enemy's weapons capability is a well-known primary war strategy. It's what drove the proliferation of nuclear weapons during the Cold War. Could the United States be locked in another arms race, desperately trying to catch up to a more advanced and heavily armed alien enemy? The U.S. and other powerful international governments spend billions of dollars on secret projects, totally hidden from public knowledge. Unsealed Case File. The Star Wars Program. March 23rd, 1983. President Ronald Reagan announces the defining military program of his presidency, the Strategic Defense Initiative, otherwise known as SDI. or the Star Wars project.
NASA got involved with a lot of Department of Defense classified programs. So they're out there launching $3, $4, $5, $6 million classified satellites into space.
The infamous Star Wars program gives the American military the ability to launch missiles from space against targets here on Earth. But few pay heed to the notion that it also gives the United States the capacity to launch against targets in space. Star Wars represents the first line of defense against an alien attack. But why would governments hide the existence of extraterrestrial threats?
If you look at the history of UFOs and nuclear weapons, there seems to be a message of, we know you're playing with fire, we're here watching it, and we can shut you down anytime we feel like.
Experts believe the first wave of an interplanetary attack would target facilities housing weapons similar to their advanced alien technology. Likely targets would include Dulce Base, Area 51, and even the Pentagon itself. Coming up, the shocking truth about those who believe a secret alien attack on Earth is coming. High-ranking officials step forward to tell the truth, and their warnings are dire. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Welcome back to the world of conspiracy. This is Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest conspiracies as they develop.
Tell your story.
What did you see that you shouldn't have?
The government's known about it all along. Why has nobody told us?
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark. Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. For decades, world governments have remained silent on their knowledge of aliens. Total denial is the standard response. But a few maverick officials have bravely chosen to break the silence about alien activity here on Earth, often at the risk of their own lives. In 2010, former Canadian Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer broke protocol by stating, "The reality is that aliens have been visiting Earth for decades, and probably millennia, and have contributed considerably to our knowledge."
Paul Hellyer claimed to have seen evidence of alien and human interaction while in office. He also shared information about the United States that could very well expose the idea that we are preparing for an epic War of the Worlds.
Hellyer believes the speed of American weapons development may be linked to alien technology, and as a result, humanity is advancing too quickly for its own good. Did America's insatiable desire for advanced weapons in the 1950s sow the seeds of an intergalactic war? Is this a war that future generations will have to fight? The ultimate consequence of our secret dealings with aliens remains unknown. But Hellyer is not the only person with knowledge of world government secret involvement with aliens. There are others who know the truth. Some may be too afraid to speak out, while others may have already been silenced. Unsealed. Conspiracy Files. Ancient monuments, modern disasters, deadly prophecies. A mysterious monolith predicts an apocalyptic future. But are we getting the message? Natural disasters are on the rise. Famine and pandemics are threatening civilization on a global scale. All signs now point to a cataclysmic event that might spell the end of civilization. The question is, can we prevent this? The answer may lie deep in the heart of the American South, in the form of a strange monolith. Etched into these massive stone slabs is a set of laws intended to ensure the survival of the human race. They demand a radical change in how we live, including reducing the global population. Tonight, we unseal the unthinkable, a secret society plotting to kill over 90% of the world's population. What if the history you were taught in school was all a lie? Is our government controlled by a secret society? Welcome to the world of conspiracy, where cover-ups, secrets, and hidden agendas all trace back to a single source. We're about to unseal the secret files